Alright, welcome back everybody. Tony, No Guts, No Gluten. Today we're going to be making some refrigerated pickles. Gotta love refrigerated pickles. I'm going to times this recipe by 5. So I already have my cucumbers wedged, or I guess you would call that a pickle wedge or cucumber wedge. So I also got them sliced. So with my little fancy dancy grooved thingamabob in there. And I'm also going to include some onion, garlic, and whatever else I want to pickle. So let's get started. Bring you down to the saucepan here. I have already in here 5 cups of white vinegar and 5 cups of water. To that, we're going to add some peppercorns. I don't know, I got about some black whole peppercorns. Yeah, I don't know, about 15. Those are going in. And then we're going to use some dill weed because I couldn't find any fresh dill. Nobody had it out yet. So this calls for 5 teaspoons. So yeah, since we're got 5 different containers. So the original recipe calls for 2 pickling cucumbers, or English cucumbers, or whatever cucumbers you want. But I am using pickling cucumbers that I got at my local produce farm stand, Ambrose, over in Cabot. If you know them, if you know, you know. Best corn on the cob and produce. I also got cabbage there today, so I'm going to be making some cabbage and beans later. And then we're going to use, my recipe just went. This calls for, and I'm not going to put it in because most people don't like their pickles hot, red pepper flakes, coriander. I don't like coriander, but I'm going to put mustard seed in. So I'm going to put 2.5 teaspoons in. And I'm going to be using Splenda instead of sugar. So the Splenda blend. And it's going to call for 1/3 cup. So I'm using 5 times that. So it's a little over 1.5 cups. But I'm just going to go with 1.5 cups. Because anybody that knows, that was a 3/4 cup, dummy. That the Splenda is usually sweeter anyway. So this would be more or less like a bread and butter pickle instead of a dill pickle, but I'm still using dill. And then 5 tablespoons of salt. And you can cut back on the salt if you want. Well, it's a half. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do 4.5. So your recipe, you can do what you want. Now we're going to take this over to the stove, bring it up to a boil. Alright, again, what I have in here is the cucumbers, the onion and garlic. Now you can add whole cloves. I cut my cloves in half. You know, if you wanted to put cauliflower in here, peppers, anything that you can pickle, if you wanted to throw in here, you can. So again, I did this jar ahead of time. It's got some pepperoncinis in it, some garlic, and I let it cool. I'm just going to give that a shake. Once it's cold, then you can put the lid on and it goes in the refrigerator. Alright, so while we're waiting for that to come to a boil, I also put some peppercorns in here also. So there's, depending on how hot you want it with the peppercorns. Let's get these out of the way. And then I'm going to be dipping out the juice, or the juice, yeah, the juice for the pickles in this, and then just dumping it in like that instead of pouring it right from the saucepan. Alright, we'll wait till that comes up, and then when it does, I'll bring you back. Alright, it just came to a boil. Now, some people let this sit and cool for crisper cucumbers or crisper pickles. Some people pour it in while it's hot. So it's up to you what you want to do. I think for the spears, I'm going to go ahead and pour it in while it's hot and let it sit. And I also threw some carrots in there. Never tried the carrots before, but we're going to give it a try. But we are definitely going to let this cool. Make sure you get the mustard seeds in there. We're definitely going to let this cool until before we put it in the refrigerator. So once that cools down, I'll be back to throw them in the refrigerator. And this is a 24-hour process. So once I get these cold and filled and in the refrigerator, I'll bring you back and we'll try the pickles. Alright, welcome back everybody. It's the next day and we're going to try our pickles. So I got the spears here. And I threw a little bit of carrot in there. And then we have our pickle, not round shaped things here. Alright, I'll bring you down. So these were 24 hours in the refrigerator. They're still nice and firm. So bring it back up. And listen to this crunch. Well, that's a good pickle. And I just threw these carrots in just to see what they would taste like. Tastes like pickled carrots. Pickled garlic to keep the vampires away. Ooh, that's just spicy. Right. No. Just a different shape, same thing. Crunch. If you like pickles, excuse me. This is super easy, inexpensive. You know, vinegar, salt, sugar, but I use Splenda. Onions, garlic, peppercorns, mustard seed, water, and just cook it, bring it to a boil, let it cool down, and then dump it into your cucumbers. That's good. All right. And don't throw this juice away, because you can use it again. Probably like 2 more times after this. And maybe just add a little bit more vinegar each time. But other than that, you know, winner pickle dinner. There you go. Easy pickling cucumbers. Yeah, very good. I love these things. And if you want to make it more like a bread and butter pickle, you can add more sugar or Splenda. But, you know, I like a good dill pickle. So, until next time, thanks for watching. Tony, No Guts, No Gluten, signing off.